A 6-year-old has died in a shack fire in Alexandria Avenue in Johannesburg. And in a statement, the City of Johannesburg EMS says the body was discovered during a search and recovery operation. The incident is also under investigation as the cause of the fire has not been determined. Let's talk to Johannesburg EMS spokesperson Robert Mulaudzi now to find out what happened here. Robert, good morning to you, and thanks as always for your time to share with us the circumstances that resulted in the death of this poor child.
Good morning, man, and morning to the viewers. Yes, we can confirm that early hours of this morning, at around 5, the City of Johannesburg Emergency Services, we responded to a double-story, a 4-roomed shack, which was on fire along 6th Avenue in Alexander, where on arrival we found the shack well alight. While we were conducting a search and recovery operation, a body of a 6-year-old was recovered during that incident, and it was confirmed dead by Gauteng EMS paramedics. At this stage, the exact cause of the fire incident is still unknown, but we still encouraging our residents out there to continue to look after any heating devices, because we know that now that it's extremely cold during this winter season, we normally responding to a number of fire incidents which are mostly caused by unattended heating devices. It might be a heater, it might be a paraffin stove, it might be a candle or a brazier or a mbawula.
Robert, I know that it's only been a couple of hours since this happened, so I'm sure that your investigating teams are also looking at what caused this. So I understand if you can't give us definitive answers on some of these questions, but just to understand, was this child alone? Was he the only body retrieved? Were there survivors from the fire?
Yes,
do we know if he was, or if it was a little girl or a little boy? Were they alone?
Yeah, there were other family members. Fortunately, the other members managed to evacuate. They didn't sustain any injury. We are told that it's a 6-year-old boy who unfortunately lost his life during this fire incident. And Ausiman, we have seen also an escalation in terms of the number of incidents, even though we have not yet received any fatalities in terms of fires which are caused by unsafe use of braziers or mbawula. Most of our residents, they don't have any other heating devices which they can use instead of this mbawula. So we're saying, yes, they can continue using it. However, they need to use it in a well-ventilated area, and also they must be reminded of taking it outside, just before they go to bed, because the brazier, it releases toxic fumes or carbon monoxide, which might, cause carbon monoxide poisoning. They might not even be able to wake up the following day. So those are some of the messages we're trying to spread throughout all our 7 regions of the city, especially now during this winter season.
Robert, let's go back to the braziers and the mbawulas. And sometimes people use whatever is available in the environment to burn. We know wood and coal are quite expensive. As you say, some of those materials could be toxic. So talk to us, talk to the communities who are listening to our conversation, or those, who are able to at least spread the message. What should you not be burning and putting into those devices?
Okay, most of the residents, they normally, using wood to, ignite that satellite, that mbawula. So what happens is there's a lot of smokes which comes out first initially when you set it alight. So you are supposed to wait for it to release that smoke up until now. When you see like the flames, then you can take it inside that room or shack. But you are supposed to make sure that the windows or the doors are, open, is well ventilated while you are busy cooking, because most of the residents use it for cooking and also for heating. So what happens is that in most of the residents, they, fall asleep while they're using it, which might be dangerous to them. So we are saying that they must make sure that they take it out before they sleep. That goes to any other person who is using any other heating devices, because we see that also residents who are using heaters, they might actually also leave them unattended, like while they are in use when they fell asleep. So that might be dangerous. So those are some of the dangers which our residents who are using, Imbaula might come across. So
Yeah.
Our message is not only focusing only on, those residents who are using Imbaula.
Robert, we've lost your audio there, so I don't know, just check. But as a final question, and one of the things that just stands out when you think about the story, a double-story, four-roomed shack. I mean, or structure. It's a temporary structure. It already sounds dangerous. Talk to us about the structures themselves, and also just from a community safety perspective. What are some of the controls, or what are the risks associated with these structures?
Yes, there's also already a risk in terms of the structural integrity of that particular, shack structure. So hence we try and, encourage our residents to make sure that as and when they build, they make sure that the structural integrity is ensured, and then also the way the structures are, apart. Because if you look at most of the informal settlements, like most of the shacks are closer to each other. So as and when you have an incident or a fire, the fire will easily spread from one shack to the other. And also when we as emergency services are working in that area, we are unable to move around, maybe with our hoses, and also maybe medically emergency technicians with their stretchers, because there's not really rooms for us to maneuver in those areas. So how can they be able to make sure that there's that distance? They can just spread their hands, away from each other, and then they will see that at least they will have a distance of about 1.5 to about 2 meters distance, which they can be able to build another shack. That allows us to be able to move in there as and when there's an emergency.
I mean, we know how desperate the situation is, Robert, insofar as temporary dwellings and structures. But, again, as you say, there's such an inherent structural risk when it comes to building one temporary structure on top of another. Are there controls? I mean, is anyone watching this in our communities where there is that need and there is that desperation for shelter and housing to say that you can't actually do that?
Yes, there is a lot of, awareness or community awareness. As I said earlier on, that we normally going out to our communities, not only during winter season, but throughout the year, because as a department, we have taken a strategy to say prevention is the future. That's where we go out, we, create awareness about, structures, as you alluded earlier on there, and also, fire safety, water safety, building in the flood line. So we have got a comprehensive strategy in terms of dealing with, preparing our residents to deal with emergencies as and when they occur in their communities, before we even conduct the, bylaws enforcement, because we believe that if we give our residents the necessary knowledge, they will be able to present some of these, emergencies which we come across as a city, and also they will be able to deal with emergencies as and when they occur in their respective areas.
Yeah. Robert, you and your teams be safe out there. Thank you so much for talking to us, for sharing that community awareness again around the risk of fires in structures like that. And again, just real sympathy and condolences for the family of the young boy, the 6-year-old, who was then found as a victim of this fire in the early hours of this morning.